All right, so
How many takes have we done so far of this?
4.
4?
This will be 4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
We've done 5 takes because one of the cannons keeps cutting off every 2 minutes, which they should at least have like 10 minutes to record. But
Absolutely, they should, but they
having
don't.
something, so talking about something that doesn't only have a 2-minute lifespan.
How about a 25-year lifespan?
Yeah. We had the new Twin Peaks finally come out.
Yeah.
And that's a show that sort of revolutionized television, and because it was a mixture of like soap opera and cop drama and experimental film, all
Sci-fi, fantasy. Yeah.
yes, all wrapped up into one package. And I mean, it was an amazing show to be exposed to. And like in a nutshell, how were you exposed to the show?
I was exposed to the show. It's kind of a long story. I was actually in high school. I was like 16, 17 years old. I'd been going to a local video store in Bloomington Normal, Illinois, called The Movie Fan, run by this guy named Dave McBride, really great guy, recommended a lot of good movies to me. And we had, he'd introduced me to, Coen Brothers, etc. And also I had been a little bit exposed to a David Lynch film. So I'd seen Lost Highway, I got to see in the theater. I'd watched Blue Velvet. I'd watched Wild at Heart, which for a blossoming teenage boy, those are pretty sexually charged movies.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting experience to watch those.
Yeah.
But I was very young, so I didn't quite understand what was going on with a lot of those things.
Especially Blue Velvet.
Definitely had no idea how to understand the symbolism and that kind of thing in those movies. But I did notice common themes, which translated into Twin Peaks. And it really wasn't until after Blue Velvet, or really Twin Peaks, that Lynch sort of started dealing with those themes, which have been playing out in all of his work since then, and especially in Twin Peaks: The Return, which is just sort of a, I don't know what the word is,
but no, it's just pure Lynch. That's what it is.
Pure Lynch.
It's
pure
Lynch on fucking acid. That's what it is.
I wouldn't go that far. I think it's pretty standard. Well, pretty standard Lynch, but pretty non-standard
like
for everybody else. Yeah.
But like, so what did you think of season 3? Was it good or?
No, I love season 3. There's so much going on there, and there's so many like deep dives you can make into that show. I read blogs every week that just went beyond anything you could imagine. People's ideas are really great, but everyone has different ideas. I also listen to a podcast from Entertainment Weekly, which is run by two guys, Jeff Jensen and Darren Franich.
Yeah.
They both, one of them, I forget which is which, but one of them is a Twin Peaks David Lynch expert. One of them is sort of a newbie.
Yeah.
Had only seen Twin Peaks: The Return and the original series recently.
This
year. So, along with actually somebody I watched Twin Peaks with this year, I'd only seen the first 2 seasons within the last year or so. But I've been living with Twin Peaks since 1998, 97, which is, only 10 years after the original. And me and my friends had always fantasized that when, Laura Palmer's whispering in Cooper's ear in the Red Room, that, she says, my father killed me, but then she also says, I'll see you again in 25 years.
Well, she does say that though later.
I'll see you again in 25 years. So we're like, okay, so in 25 years, maybe we'll get something else going on, because as any Twin Peaks fan knows, season 2 ended with a cliffhanger.
Yes.
Which was Lynch's big FU to ABC for canceling the show.
I didn't know. I thought he thought it was gonna keep going, and it just didn't work out that way.
All the production crew, etc., the real creative forces behind a lot of the Twin Peaks first season up to episode 16, where they reveal Who Killed Laura Palmer, everybody was really into it till that point, and then afterwards, David Lynch left the show to work on Wild at Heart, so he was less involved.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't remember who the showrunner was at that point, but it had just gone like way downhill.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you remember the latter half of season 2 is not that great.
No.
There's a few moments. I mean, I would say the last 4 episodes of that show are pretty great.
Yeah.
When Cooper starts to get work with, what is his name? His arch nemesis. The FBI agent who sold.
Oh,
his,
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Stole his. I don't know why I can't think of it.
That show. Yeah,
I get an F- today in Twin Peaks trivia.
We get an F-, and well, Cannon gets an F- on our show today. But it's funny. I ran into Twin Peaks sort of the same way as like every other person who lives today did, which was. I just happened to hear about it for years, and I just kind of didn't watch it because I also wasn't really that interested, to be honest. I was like, I don't know if I can watch like a whole David Lynch TV show. That's like a lot to take. I don't know if it's going to be interesting because I loved Eraserhead. I loved Mulholland Drive, you know. Elephant Man, which is like probably his most normal film. I think it's like my favorite film.
I'd say it's his second most normal film, but I know
first most normal film. I think I know which one you're talking about. Is the one about the old man on the tractor?
The Straight Story.
Yeah, and it was actually a Disney movie.
That was a Disney movie,
yeah.
G-rated Disney movie. Imagine
directed
that.
by David Lynch. Yeah. Holy shit!
The most David Lynchy thing is that first shot in that where it's just the sky, just the stars at night. And you hear this great, and it's the Angelo Badalamenti score.
Yeah.
And it just pans down, and you see like this farmhouse or something.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to like some like weird-looking woman reclining in her backyard with like cucumbers on her eyes. And I was like, well, that's a David Lynch film. And after that, it was pretty standard. It was like almost like something that could have been on like Lifetime. Not that it was bad. I'm just saying, like it's a great movie, and that actor.
And we're gonna keep
really
going.
great.
Don't worry. So you said the camera pulls out.
So you've got in the Straight Story, the first shot, you've got that great Angelo Badalamenti score, and the camera kind of pans down from the night sky to this farmhouse, and it quickly cuts to daytime, where you just see this like strange-looking, very Iowa-looking woman just lounging in this lawn chair with like cucumbers on her eyes, sunbathing.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the story of Alvin Strait and his journey. What a great movie. I haven't watched that in a while. Everyone's really good in that.
Yeah.
Going back to Twin Peaks, I don't know how much of the Strait story was alluded to in the new season.
Everything like in David Lynch's work alludes to something though, because like all of his work kind of deals with, or most of it, like it'll deal with people who live in small towns. Who kind of have like this very subtle sort of Midwestern lifestyle, which Lynch himself is from the Midwest, so that's sort of like why that's very present in Twin Peaks itself and all his other work. I mean, even Eraserhead to a certain extent is about a guy who kind of lives in a small community, even if it's a very horrible dystopian,
very industrial
one.
Very industrial,
Yeah, but I just remember when I finally kind of decided to see Twin Peaks, the original series, and I streamed it on Netflix. And I was like, yeah, I can see why this is so popular. Like, it's cheesy, it's 90s-ish, but it's also completely weird and bizarre. And it balances all these different sort of styles perfectly, where it doesn't feel like it's forced, where it runs very smoothly, where it doesn't feel like 1 minute you're kind of watching like a fun little tongue-in-cheek show, and then the next minute it's like this weird fucked up thing where everyone's in this Black Lodge, I guess you could call it. It balances all those styles so well, and it was so impressive how it was able to do that, and how they wrote all these characters that were so relatable, where I think if this was any other show and I was talking about it, I think I'd be talking about like fucking 90210 or something like that. Like,
a little
when
bit.
Nora got with Ed, and but here it just works.
I think I belong to now, I think 6 Twin Peaks fan pages on Facebook.
Yeah.
one of which is created by a local person named Shayna E. She does Twin Peaks Freaks.
Yeah.
And Twin Peaks Freaks Anonymous. There's also Invitation to Love, the Twin Peaks singles page,
Wow.
which is pretty interesting.
That is that's truly commitment. Yeah.
Julie Cruz is a member. Julie Cruz, the singer,
Oh.
the Roadhouse singer from the original series,
Yes.
who had done some very strange work with Lynch. She has commented on some of my posts. We are officially Facebook friends, which is pretty exciting.
There you go.
But outside of Julie Cruz, she had very little to do with the new season and did not like her very brief cameo there in episode 17. That's another story. This is not a celebrity gossip
Yeah, what is this show?
podcast. What is this really about, Mike?
Yeah. Bruce Willis is an asshole. All right, but
Bruce Willis is an asshole.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear about that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we'll talk about that later.
But no, when they made this new season, though, I remember when I was walking into it, I'm going, okay, is this going to be like crazy fucked up David Lynch, or is this going to be a nostalgia fest? And with so many retreads that are like on television now, you know, and well, really in movies, like everything is like, hey, remember this cool thing, remember that cool thing, you know, kind of like you think about Force Awakens, if you think about it, you know, which I don't know why anyone's nostalgic for a really bad TV movie, you know. You think about all those things, you know, this Twin Peaks did something different where it didn't care like what the fan base wanted in a way. It kind of did its own thing, but it wasn't like George Lucas prequel, middle finger, fuck you, like I'm not going to even put in effort sort of thing. You know, it was something that still worked because it was so weird and different, and anybody who knows David Lynch knows you're not going to go into something that's going to be easy to digest. So, I mean, just from the beginning of season 1 or season 3, just from the first scene, it's weird, but then it just gets weirder, you know, and it continues down that path, especially with the masterful 8th episode, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Episode 8, I mean, that's what everyone talks about, and it's, you know, you've got the atomic bomb with that great music behind it, and you've got the Woodsman, which I think earlier we were talking about the Secret History of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
This was Mark Frost's book that he wrote as sort of a prequel, sort of a bridge between the season 2 and the return.
Yeah.
Doesn't really tell you what happened in that 25 years.
Yeah.
Which the show kind of does. Mr. C is running rampant. But it does introduce the concept of these Dugpas, these woodsmen.
Yes.
A Dugpa. Oh, is it
A Dugpa?
a Dugpa
Or
is.
Tulpa?
So,
No.
no, there's Dugpa, there's Tulpa. So they were talking about different things. So Dugpas are these woodsmen, these like manifestations of consciousness.
They're kind of like the demons of the Black Lodge that do its bidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first part of the Secret History of Twin Peaks deals a lot with Lewis and Clark
Yeah.
and their journey into the Northwest and things that happen along the way.
Yeah.
And one really great thing is that they meet these, they call them these white Indian giants.
Yeah.
As we very well know, there's a very famous giant in the Twin Peaks universe now known as a fireman.
Yeah. Yeah, now we know that.
You know, alludes to the Fire Walk With Me poem, got a light.
Oh, that's
So,
why he's a fireman. Is
you know,
he there to put out the fire, or he tries to?
I think he's trying to put out the fire because I think he
Yeah.
represents good, but I think he also
He
represents.
gives birth to Laura Palmer.
Yeah.
He, you know, tries to send Coop on his journey to save her.
Yep.
I mean, it's a show, though. The wonderful thing about Twin Peaks is, like, I've never seen something that is so empathetic towards the murder of one individual.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like, most things on television, someone dies, cut to the next scene. Someone dies, do something to advance the plot. Here, it's like, it makes you feel the tragedy of that.
Absolutely.
You know, where it's like the pain never goes away, especially when, and spoilers, we talk about the ending of the show. That was especially something where you felt that pain of Laura Palmer, where she goes to the house. It's not really her home. Some lady answers the door that she doesn't know, and then, you know, you faintly hear Sarah, her mother, yelling her name.
I still haven't heard that. I need to rewatch that episode.
Yeah, yeah.
I was at my friend's house. She was hosting a Twin Peaks party, so I'd watched it with some other Twin Peaks fans, and we literally sat in stunned silence for what felt like an eternity after that ending. Because
where you're like, what the fuck?
I was the first one to say something, because I felt it was warranted. But I think everybody was like really into the show and was just kind of letting it all sink in because we knew what we had just watched was something like intensely special.
Yeah.
And to find the meaning in those last moments in that last episode was going to take more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it felt it was like the moments after watching that finale when it cut to black after her scream.
Yeah.
It was almost like a spiritual moment.
Yeah.
It was like I'd waited 25 years for this, and I'm not at all in the park where I didn't enjoy that finale. Where I didn't say I know there's like more of a purpose to it. I know that Lynch is an artist and wants to give us an experience, which is really seen throughout his work.
Yeah.
There's not one Lynch film that I don't still think about and talk about.
Yeah.
Some of his work, some of these sort of feelings of the experience are done better in some of his work than others.
Yeah.
But with this, I mean, the reason why Twin Peaks is so popular, you can say it's because of that cliffhanger ending.
Yeah.
But it put the audience in a position where they could talk about this for another 25 years.
Exactly.
I talk about Twin Peaks all the time, and I think about it.
Yeah. It's something that lasts. It's not just like Game of Thrones. Okay, what happened this season? A bunch of people got killed at a wedding. What happened this season? A dragon killed a bunch of people. You know, what happened this season? Dragon Lady showed her tits to a bunch of people. Yeah. Like, it's just the same, you know. It's kind of like cheap thrills compared to something like...
Yeah. So am I going to talk about Game of Thrones for a little bit? Probably a little bit, but I'm going to forget about it. Do I still talk about Breaking Bad? Not really.
Yeah.
I love Breaking Bad. I can still talk about Lost a little bit, but we kind of got a conclusion there. It wrapped up pretty neatly.
Yeah.
And with Twin Peaks, it's a work of art.
Yeah.
In the last, we watched the finale with the group of friends, and we just sat there like in stunned silence, right? To continue. And I think the reason why you keep talking about Twin Peaks, like we were talking about, I mean, you can talk about shows like Lost or Breaking Bad, Battlestar Galactica, but those all kind of wrapped up.
Yeah, they're
I'm not
digestible. They're what's the word for something like anybody can enjoy?
Accessible?
Yeah, sure, close enough.
It's a word. It's a word. I hate the word accessible because there's so many different facets to that. Like I would say the whole new season of Twin Peaks: The Return is accessible if you're open to it.
Yes, and that brings up the fun part of open interpretation. So the fun thing with open interpretation, that's something that most audiences don't get to appreciate anymore, is like whenever you see a movie or a show, and they don't give you a clear answer, it's because it's the answer that you make is way cooler than what that filmmaker is thinking. And that's why David Lynch doesn't like to tell you what his movies mean. You know, for instance, I remember way back, the thing that really introduced me to open interpretation was I made a movie in high school and won a bunch of awards, but what happened was there was like an ending where I thought it was pretty clear cut. You know, I jump off a bridge and kill myself, spoilers. And then, don't worry, I was okay. And then it cuts to a note that says, what I wish my life was like. And it was about this character of mine who was like this kid who was bullied and stuff. You could tell that was me. But, like, it shows, like, the kid kind of fitting in, like, all these social circles and having all these friends and stuff. And literally, the ending was just literally that. It was just what he wishes his life was like. And people were coming up to me, and they're like, so did he go to heaven in the end? And did this happen? That happened? I'm like, no, but that's way fucking cooler than what was on screen. So then I said, you know what? It's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
What you want it to be is what you can have it be, and that's way cooler than anything I can think of. Because it's fun to make the viewer a participant rather than just a spectator when they're watching something.
That's interesting. And that brings up a big, at least for me, there's two things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
One of them is. I've listened to a number of podcasts. read a million blogs. I'm a member of so many Twin Peaks groups on Facebook. And there's so much to read and digest and interpret with this season of Twin Peaks. And I think my favorite kinds of art with music or with film or just a piece of artwork is the ability to interpret it. And I think, which we were talking about already, I'm going to be talking about Twin Peaks The Return for another 25 years.
Yeah.
I think the last time I was this obsessed, I thought this much about a show, was obviously Lost, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
But like the summer of '98, I think, I spent the whole summer talking about Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
that one seemed pretty clear cut as to what it meant.
Well, but there was a lot there to talk about because there was a piece of work, and you can still go back to that film.
A lot of pieces of ass too.
Zing. Same could be said for Twin Peaks: The Return. There was a little bit of that in it.
Oh yeah, that show was a fucking hard R, you know.
That was a hard R, guys. Hard R, guys. If you haven't watched it yet and you're listening to our review, you're probably listening to the wrong review. So back on a serious note, I read one of the one of the podcasts I listen to is Entertainment Weekly podcast.
Yeah.
These guys are real Twin Peaks fans.
Yeah.
And it's fun to listen to them. And they saw it as a painting.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that you're in an art gallery.
Yeah.
And you see 5 photographs, right, by the same artist.
Yeah.
And they're different, but you know they're made by the same artist.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have the same themes throughout. But it's just one frame. It's one little picture.
Yeah.
I mean, what is one of my favorite video blogs on YouTube is called Every Frame a Painting.
Oh, that's a great one.
Without talking about what they talk about.
Yeah.
But just the idea of every frame being a painting, that needs to happen. And I think that's what Lynch did with this.
Yeah.
Every single scene is you want to connect to something else, you can interpret it in your own way. And I think that if you compare episodes 17 and 18, those are both two different paintings.
Yeah.
They're two different paintings. And you can watch those together.
Yeah.
There's a whole theory going around that you're supposed to watch episodes 17 and 18 simultaneously, layered on top of each other.
Two different timelines and 2 different dimensions correlating with each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you watch, and they say that in episode 17, where you see Cooper's face superimposed over the images of the climax.
Yeah.
It's like, why the hell would they do that?
Yeah.
And people are like, well, that's the creators, that's Lynch Frost saying, oh, you're supposed to watch these 2 episodes back to back.
Yeah.
Or right on top of each other, dissolved on top of each other. And a lot of these people have seen like a lot of crazy things in there that sort of line up. Like example, like where Mr. C looks into the wormhole before he's transported to the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Station is the same time where in episode 18, Diane and Cooper, or Richard and Linda, enter the vortex to the other, the alternate reality.
Yeah. And in the end, it's all perilous.
Yeah.
Cooper couldn't save her. And that's not the ending everyone wanted. I'll be honest, I fantasized about the ending where maybe like Cooper reunites Laura with her parents, you know, and then like maybe we go back in time and then everything's okay again. And they kind of did play with that audience expectation. We're like, oh, we know you're expecting this, where they show Jack Nance going out fishing, you know, and then Laura Palmer's body disappears and he finds her in the woods and you're like, oh my God, he's gonna save her, like everything's gonna be great. And then nope, they pull the rug from under you.
Well, like,
that's the great thing about it.
Like a lot of Lynch work, it's always cyclical, right?
Yeah.
You can see that especially with like Lost Highway, where the first line of Lost Highway is Dick Laurent is dead.
Yeah.
What's the last line of Lost Highway? Dick Laurent is dead.
Yeah.
So it goes in a circle. And with Twin Peaks, I think it's the same way.
Yeah.
And so something I read said that, remember the opening, the first scene in Twin Peaks: The Return is Cooper sitting with the fireman. We know now as a fireman, but he used to be referred to as a giant.
Yeah.
He gives Cooper hints again. He says, remember Richard and Linda. He talks about the numbers 430, which aren't introduced again until that finale, until episode 18.
And then when
430 miles to go to the portal. And somebody, what I'd read was that that's cyclical too. That maybe what we're watching there in the first 5 minutes of season 3, episode 1 is the ending.
Yep. Pulled to nowhere.
And it goes in a loop. And a lot of people say that there was a plan, that Cooper had a plan within the Red Room or the Black Lodge, whatever you want to call it. I think there's many lodges now that have been introduced, so to call the Red Room the Black Lodge is probably incorrect at this point.
Yeah.
But really, there's not an incorrect.
There is no incorrect answer.
We don't know what
lodge
lodge is what, but it's basically good and evil.
Yeah.
And something in between. The waiting room.
Yeah.
The arm.
Yeah.
Once played by Michael J. Anderson, now played by a CGI tree.
with like a brain on it or something.
Referred to the Red Room as the waiting room. So Cooper waited there for 25 years and made a plan with either Mike, the one-armed man, and the arm or the giant to get back and stop Mr. C and save Laura Palmer by resetting time.
Yeah.
Which is any sci-fi or fantasy fan knows, resetting time is always a bad idea.
Yes, using time travel is usually considered a cheat. But here, it works because it's not overtly saying, oh, it's time travel and we're going to go back and fix everything. Here it's making you question when everything is taking place.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit like Solaris, the original, in a way, where, you know, in the end, the main character, I don't know his name because I'm fucking stupid, wanted to be with his wife, although he never really could be. And in a way, this is sort of the same thing with Sarah Palmer. So we always questioned if it was future or past. Yes, it's special. It is not without its flaws. I think there are many times David Lynch will kind of go off on his own little dalliances and his own little things that really don't contribute to the plot or the story.
Like a scene of Gordon Cole smoking a cigarette for 5 minutes.
Yes, yeah, with Diane. Yeah, the sweet smell of tobacco.
That was a great scene. Because when I met David Lynch in Iowa in 2006, he went out for a smoke break every 20 minutes or so during his Q&A to outside there. And actually on the campus, the policy was no smoking whatsoever.
Yeah.
But David Lynch would be smoking right there.
It's a fucking morgue.
So what are you talking about time?
Yes. Is it future or
is it future or past? Which is a really good point. Maybe a good point to end on.
Yeah.
I want to quote this article. This is written by somebody who contributes to RogerEbert.com.
Yeah.
Name? Do not have the author's name, but it's one of the blogs there. You can find it there.
It's probably Matt.
This is a woman.
Oh, Charlene O'Malley?
Possibly, I don't know. So I'm gonna go through this real quick.
Yeah.
And they're talking about time, and they say in the 10th episode of The Return, 2 separate characters talk about time. Margaret, played by the late great Catherine Coulson, who died shortly after filming her scenes.
And what a wonderful way she
played
went
the
out.
log lady. Yeah, that was really great. And she calls Deputy Hawk and tells him, "Watch and listen to the dream of time and space. It all comes out now, flowing like a river. That which is and is not." And then she tells Hawk, "Laura is the one." So and that was halfway through the Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
The Return.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about time, and you're looking at this from the perspective of writers and directors who are in their 70s, who probably are thinking about time and space and what it all means a lot, you know, and to have the pleasure to be a person and be around when somebody like a filmmaker such as David Lynch is still able to create such divisive and creative and beautiful works of art that we are allowed to watch despite the many challenges and appreciate for a long time. And we talked about season 1 and 2 for 25 years. We're going to be talking about
season 3 for a long
season
time.
Season 3 for another 25 years.
And if it's up to David Lynch, like they said, will he make another season? And he said, well, it took about 4.5 years to write this one.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a long time to make that one. And God only knows, like, how old they'll all be. Like, one thing, when I was watching this show, and I just saw how much everyone has aged, I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm so old, you know?
Yeah.
You just see, like, Big Ed, and oh God, he's no longer, like, the tall, good-looking leading man. He just kind of looks like a decrepit old man, you know? The one who surprisingly aged the best was the receptionist. I can't remember her name.
Lucy.
Lucy, yeah. Like, she looked great. Her husband, not so much, you know? But
well, I think we've been given a great gift because for an artist like David Lynch, going back to that moment in his career was probably not something he necessarily wanted to do, but I think he talks about...
well, what happened was Mark Frost approached him, and he said, hey, remember in Twin Peaks how Laura Palmer said, I'll see you again in 25 years, was it? Yeah. And he said to him, well, it's been 25 years. And David Lynch went, oh, yeah. And then they decided to make it, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we've been given a gift because for an artist as enigmatic as David Lynch, it's whatever that gift is and however you interpret it, I think we have something special here that wouldn't have happened before. And I'm glad that everything turned out the way it did. Honestly, I don't want to see another season. This is it.
I think it was good.
They concluded it. And like you said, maybe we have 4.5 years to maybe wait for another one. Yeah. That's fine. But I want it to be just as good and just as divisive and as what we saw. And I'd love to see more, but if I didn't have more, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd rather Lynch make something else.
Yeah, I would like to see that too, and we never know if what he'll make. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen anyone love these characters so much as he does. Yeah. You know, he wasn't doing the. I always reference the prequels because I'm an asshole, but like he doesn't do like a prequel thing where there's just shameless cameos. You know, there's that like, oh well, here's C-3PO. He was built by Anakin Skywalker. You know, it's like everything, like every character's in there for a reason. Outside of maybe Jerry Horn. He's just in that show for no reason. He just fucking gets stoned and walks around the woods. It's a huge waste of time. But outside of that, that's the one criticism I have with Twin Peaks is like sometimes it'll just go off on like random shit and you're like, huh? And then
well, I'm sorry. I know you're trying to wrap it up. I got to disagree with the Jerry Horn thing. I think Jerry's on a journey. He's on a journey of self-discovery.
Oh, he's on a journey,
and
man.
That he is on a journey, man. Yeah. Just like Dr. Jacoby's on a journey and it's changed. Just like
that was another like
all these Twin Peaks characters are all on journeys.
I feel like the Dr. Jacoby thing, they just wrote it and then David Lynch didn't know what to do with it and he's like, he gives her the shit shovel and then it makes her realize that she freed Big Ed. It's like, why did he need freedom? Couldn't he just make his own decisions like an adult?
Sure. Way to ruin it, Mike.
That's the simplistic way of looking at it, but I mean, everything's subject to criticism, and there's certainly some flaws in the new Twin Peaks, but at the end, I'm just so happy that we got something that was unlike anything you're gonna see anywhere else.
No, and I'm excited. And I look
Showtime
forward.
Took a fucking gamble.
They did, and it was not a successful gamble for them. Obviously,
it wasn't.
Honestly,
I thought they got like the most amount of subscriptions.
I think the subscribers were good.
Yeah.
The ratings, but then the network looks at the ratings, so I think that was not good for them. But the Showtime president, David Nevin.
Sure.
He said he was happy with the results. So
of course, he's not going to talk shit about it publicly.
That's good to know.
But thank you, David Lynch, for Twin Peaks. Thank you for the years of wonderful cinema you've given us. And as he said now, you know, the reason he went to do this show on television is because the art house is dead. As he said in the interview I'll show a clip of, he said, not dying, dead. So, you know, we'll see what he makes from now. All right, but that was our Twin Peaks discussion. Thank you. I'd shake your hand, but I have a horrible cold. I'm like
fine.
on the verge of just blowing snot all over the table.
We will let the audience determine the experience they want. If you watch this, you can say, hey, they shook hands, and in my mind.
Yeah, or like the earlier takes we did, and then the later take. Was it future or past when we filmed it? What part are you watching? Because that's sort of a note on editing that he does about the manipulation of time and making films.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
the real question is, what year is this? Laura, hurting me.
That was good.